I've listened to Back in Black by AC/DC for years.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record-ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James. With me is Connor.
Bong. I've arrived.
Yes, you have. I heard a certain bell from a certain place announcing your arrival. You know, I didn't plan it, but I am wearing black for this Back in Black episode.
I was part of a bells band.
What? Like a bell choir?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Choir. I was part of a bell choir.
When?
Played the bells.
Really? Oh, really? Everyone in the bell choir played bells.
Yeah.
It's funny that they call it a choir, though. What songs did you play? Did you play Hell's Bells on the bells? That'd be fun.
No, we did not.
That'd be actually insufferable to sit through a bell choir.
We did some Christmas ones, and then we did some other random songs. We'd go around to like churches and stuff and perform. It was kind of cool.
Do you know what notes your bells were?
We jumped around. It was kind of a song-by-song basis because different songs use different bells notes.
Right.
So I played different ones on different songs. It's really interesting, though, to like try to read sheet music in that way. Right? Because it just looks like normal sheet music, but you're holding two bells in your hand. Sometimes you'll have a couple extra ones on the ground if you're really good at it, or like not on the ground, but like on the table in front of you for you to like swap out mid-song.
Yeah, if you're a bell expert.
Yeah, but you just be sitting there and you're following along with the song, and you're just you know, say you've got the A and the E, and you're just sitting there like A or E, A or E, A or E. There's an A, bing bing.
Yeah.
And like you're just looking for two specific notes, and anytime they show up, you got to like keep the rhythm though, so you know when to hit yours. But you're only looking for certain notes. It was weird.
It is weird. I mean, we used to do that in like elementary and middle school music classes.
Yeah,
but it wasn't the same because the teacher would just hold up the color.
Yeah, and like with like normal sheet music, like for like when I played the trumpet, right? It only had my parts, so every note that I saw, I had to play. Whereas in here, I'm seeing everything, and one chord will be like 5 different bells, right? So you just gotta be looking, be like, is there an A in that stack of 5 notes?
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
It is, and that's a little precursor to what you can expect when we get to Hell's Bells.
Heck yeah. Remember that story for when we get to Hell's Bells. It'll be relevant.
Connor's Bell Choir story will return. Yeah, we're talking about AC/DC this week for the first week in December. AC-December. Ooh, that's good.
Ooh, that is good.
Didn't plan that. I like that. I think AC/DC is one of those bands where it's really easy to know a lot of their singles without even trying. If you go to events, if you go to places where there needs to be hype generated, if you watch a movie with an action scene, there's probably some AC/DC around.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. I know, I go to hockey games and like AC/DC is like the goal song. It's everywhere, except when the team gets shut out.
I own this album.
Like physically?
Yeah, on CD.
Whoa.
I guess I don't know it as like a record, but I own the CD.
So then I guess you knew all 10 of these? Or have you listened to the CD? Those are very different things.
Well, listen to it. I own it. But no, I haven't listened to it. Yeah, no, I've listened to it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, it's a tough week when I find one that you know all the songs on. That doesn't happen much.
Yep.
But if you own the CD, I mean, that means you must like it, right?
Gotta like it if I own it, right?
No.
Why else would I own it?
I don't remember the first time I listened to AC/DC. And I also don't own this album. I don't know if I own any AC/DC music physically.
I own 2 AC/DC albums.
Whoa, really? What's the other one?
I went and pulled them off my shelf before we started. It is Black Ice.
Oh, that's a strange kind of pick. Why?
It's their 15th studio album. I think it came out when I got it in 2008.
Yeah, why that one?
I think it was like a new AC/DC album, and I was a fan of the one I had. And I was like, Mom or Dad, can I get the new AC/DC album? And we were like, sure, 2008 Connor.
That's just what they called me back then.
Yeah, that was my name. Now I'm 2023 Connor.
Not for long. So you actually have a fun story that I'm going to force you to tell on the podcast about how you discovered AC/DC.
Oh boy.
I didn't know this until very recently. We were guests on another podcast and this story came up and I didn't realize.
I almost maybe bought Black Ice because of this story, now that I think about it.
Whoa.
2008 would have been around the time of this story.
Yeah. So back in the day, I was friends with 2008 Connor.
Yeah, 2008 Connor and James were friends.
That's right. It's always been me. I've just known about 15 different Connors.
Yeah. One day, were like at school,
Yeah.
as kids tend to be,
Mm-hmm.
and we got talking about music, and
It's definitely a thing that we've done long before this podcast existed.
yeah, who really knows how we got onto the topic, who brought it up, but I remember you specifically, James, introducing me to the song Hell's Bells.
Which I don't remember at all. Like, not even a sliver of memory. I didn't think I knew Hell's Bells back then, but I guess I did.
Yeah. You introduced it to me, or at least you were the one who, like, was playing it. I don't know who brought it up. You know, maybe somebody else in the group brought up the song, and because you were friends with some other people from, like, Boy Scouts and stuff, so who knows how we really got onto the topic. But I know for a fact you were the one playing the song,
I'll take credit for it.
and you introduced me to it, and I was like, heck yeah, this is an awesome song. I went home, and what I didn't realize, because I was a wee 2008 Connor, this was obviously not a new song.
No. This song was 28 years older than 2008 Connor.
To me, it was new. I'd never heard it.
You were listening to 28-year-old Hell's Bells.
It was new to me. My ears were AC/DC virgins. And so I went home, and my dad was like, how was your day? And I was like, oh, Dad,
Get ready.
dude, I got a song for you. You're going to love this new song. It just came out.
Oh, no. Did you
Brand
say it just
new.
came out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought it was a new song.
I can't imagine what your dad's, like, feelings would be. Like, oh, boy, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be so cool.
He'd only ever listened to, like, old school music, right? Or at the time when I thought, now I only listen to, like, old school music half the time, it
Wow.
feels like. But,
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, man, my dad's not cool. He just listens to stuff from the 80s. And now I'm, like, 80s playlist.
He said my dad's not cool. He only listens to stuff from the 80s. Check out this song from 1980.
I know. And I go, Dad, check it out. And I hit play, and it goes, bong. And he goes, oh, Hell's Bells. And I'm like, oh, you've heard this. Where did you hear this? He's like, 20-some years ago when it came out.
On the FM radio? That's awesome.
I was like, what?
What a shock. So that was your start. That was your intro to AC/DC. Amazing.
Yeah, and so then I feel like because I got into AC/DC through that song, and probably that's how I ended up with this album, my dad probably bought me the album because of that story.
I think that's probably true.
And then the new one came out, and we bought that.
So here, this is kind of like a full circle moment in our friendship. Except I can't say that I'm showing you any of these songs for the first time. I'm just giving you Hell's Bells again.
Yeah, I have to say, if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it.
I didn't study history because I didn't even know about that till after this was on the schedule. We were doomed.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about AC/DC. Let's do some learning. We're going down under this week. AC/DC is an Australian band. Their music style is very largely inspired actually by what they heard in local Australian pubs. And it is not daggy in the slightest. Bring on the hoons.
Bring out the hoons.
AC/DC is a hoon band.
Who let the hoons out?
Hoon,
AC/DC.
hoon. Oh, yeah, not daggy. That's Australian slang, if you didn't know. But in 1973, lead guitarists and brothers Angus and Malcolm Young decided they wanted to start a band.
Whoa,
I know. They call up Colin Burgess, a drummer. They call up bassist and saxophonist Larry Van Crete. And they call up singer Dave Evans, who was actually a former bandmate of Malcolm's. They both played in a band called Velvet Underground, absolutely, completely, totally unrelated to Lou Reed and the American Velvet Underground. They were their own Velvet Underground. But actually, they would go on to open for Lou Reed in 1974, which is another kind of wild full circle moment. But this new band starts playing glam rock and hard rock in nightclubs. Angus takes on this eclectic sense of style. He wears a bunch of different costumes.
Heck yeah.
Eventually, he landed on what's today his now iconic school uniform outfit. He said he wanted to look like someone that just left school and went to like band practice, and that has stuck. And I mean, it was like cool back in the 70s and still cool through like most of the time AC/DC's been a band. And then like at some point they crossed the threshold of age where like, yeah, it's iconic, but it doesn't look cool anymore. Is that a hot take? Maybe. I feel like all the AC/DC fans are going to get mad.
Probably.
Iconic, though. Iconic. If it's cool, it's because he made it cool. But they covered a lot of blues and blues rock, you know, put that all in their repertoire. And their name, AC/DC actually came from a very unlikely source. It refers, as I'm sure you know, Mr. Engineer, it refers to electrical currents, alternating and direct currents. And those are two different things. Alternating current sometimes reverses direction and changes magnitude, while direct current flows pretty steady in one direction. Do you need to know that? No.
Are you trying to engineer-splain current to the engineer?
No, to the audience. You're not the only person that's consuming what I'm saying.
I'm only consuming it right now, and that's all my brain can.
That's all your brain can fathom. Your brain is on direct current.
Yeah.
It's got a steady amount in one direction. That's it.
Listen, I don't know what I'm going to say, and I don't remember what I've said, all right? My brain lives in the present only.
That's right. But yeah, that's stuff you don't need to know. There won't be a test, but it is kind of interesting to me.
There will be a test.
No.
There's a whole test we're building. It'll be about
Current.
It'll be about current. It'll be about my Hell's Bells story. It'll be about the other thing that I said would come up during Hell's Bells that I already forgot about.
Oh no, you're going to fail the test. Anyway, their sister Margaret had a sewing machine with a label on the power adapter.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah to the sewing machine? You're just saying heck yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like a sewing machine?
I guess nobody?
They're pretty cool.
Does anybody, if you're out there listening and you don't like sewing machines, or I guess if you actively dislike sewing machines is probably a better way to put it.
Hey.
Yeah, if you hate sewing machines, I guess that's not a heck yeah. Anyway, but Sister Margaret has a sewing machine, and there's a label on the power adapter detailing which currents it used. So the sewing machine said AC/DC, and they were like, hey, we love that. You know, we have a lot of energy in our music, a lot of power. Our live shows are electric. Let's use this little current thing as our name. So that's kind of the story behind it. It came from a sewing machine. Disgustingly, okay, this is another thing that I just despise. I have learned that in their native Australia, the band is colloquially known as Akka Daka, and I cannot hate that more. I just don't like it.
I love Akadaka.
Really?
I think it's awesome. It's just a fun thing to say, Akadaka.
It is fun to say. The first time I said it out loud was just now when I complained about it, so half revoked. But yeah, their live shows were electric, and after gaining that reputation for a great live show, they hit the studio in 1974. But they had a couple of, call them epiphanies, and they had to kick Burgess and Van Crete out of the band. They just weren't clicking right. They did some shuffling and some replacing. Malcolm takes on the rhythm guitar. They add members, including vocalist Bon Scott. Their first album, appropriately titled High Voltage, came out in 1974. They only spent 10 days recording it, and the Youngs were really the driving force behind the instrumentals. They pretty much left the lyrics and the melodies up to vocalist Bon Scott. They produced some hits, and their second record, TNT, which I really, really feel the urge to chant every time I talk about it.
Who doesn't?
I know. TNT came out in 1975, peaking at number 2 on the Australian charts.
It's not as good.
It's obviously not as good. It's just the best I can do given the circumstances, but it was more informative. The band's first proper international release was actually a compilation of the best songs from those first 2 LPs, confusingly also called High Voltage, though really it was mostly TNT, because only 2 songs made the cut from the initial High Voltage. Over the decades, that compilation version would go on to be triple platinum in the US.
Wow.
I know. That's platinum, platinum, platinum. Their third album, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which is a great song title again. I also still feel that every AC/DC song title, I kind of feel the need to say in rhythm with what it is in the song. But Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap got the same treatment. It pulled in some older tracks for their very first international releases in 1976. Funny enough, it didn't come out in the United States until 1981. But then they dropped Let There Be Rock. They toured with Ozzy Osbourne in the UK. They fired their bassist again and picked up Cliff Williams as a replacement. And they put out another pair of records by 1979. And they also started touring in the United States as support for big acts including Aerosmith, the Blue Oyster Cult, Styx, and Kiss. And they also toured with Cheap Trick, a lot of names you'll recognize. In 1979, their 6th record, Highway to Hell, really started to bring them American success. It was their first LP that made it into the Billboard charts, peaking at number 17, and they started to get to work on their 7th record, Back in Black, in 1980. But Tragically, before it was finished, Bon Scott passed away suddenly from acute alcohol poisoning. At that point, I mean, they straight up almost hung it up and disbanded. They almost called it quits. But Scott's parents came to the band and they said, look, like, he would really want you to carry on without him. Like, that's what you should do to honor his legacy, because he would want that from you. So they pushed forward and they started auditioning new vocalists. They landed on Brian Johnson, former vocalist in the band Geordie, and he actually auditioned with a Tina Turner song that we've talked about before.
Yeah?
Nutbush City Limits.
Oh.
Which I can only imagine was an excellent fit for his voice. I would love to hear AC/DC do Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Well, they really liked Brian Johnson's unique style, and they especially wanted to honor Bon Scott's memory and not just bring in someone who was going to mimic or imitate him. They wanted someone who was going to take their sound in a new direction entirely, which I really respect. I think that's a cool way to go about it. But that new, different direction led them into the Back in Black we all know and love today. By April, Brian Johnson was officially part of the band, and they got to work finishing the record that they actually started a couple months earlier. They recorded Back in Black over a 2-month stretch in Nassau in the Bahamas, which is pretty wild. They went that far away because it gave them some tax breaks that were too good to pass up. So much so that they even cut their rehearsals short by a week to make the recording happen. It was a little studio called Compass Point, and apparently at the time, it really wasn't much. Brian Johnson said it was hardly any kind of studio. We were in these little concrete cells. He said you had a bed and a chair. He said we had to lock the doors because the lady who ran the place warned them about these Haitians who'd come down at night and rob the place. So she bought us these 6-foot fishing spears to keep at the door. That's the situation where they're recording this album. They also had trouble with customs, getting all their equipment and their gear from the UK. That was a whole mess. Not to mention, they were absolutely ravaged by tropical storms at the time too, which would knock out the power all the time. Everything was wet and a mess. Johnson actually worked some of this into the lyrics, we'll get into in a bit. But Back in Black is that signature, like, heavy pub metal kind of sound that they've become known for nowadays. But the new flair of Brian Johnson gave it a little extra kick or spark, or revitalization, whatever you want to call it. And it was Brian Johnson's first time recording with the band, of course. He was a little stressed, and their producer, Mutt Lange, did not help things much. He wanted the album to sound realistic and be pretty polished. So he made them do a lot of takes. He demanded perfection. Brian Johnson said that he would tell him, you sang that note too long. There's no room for a breath. He had this thing where he wanted people to listen to the album down the road and say there's no way someone could sing that. They've dropped that in. Even the breaths had to be in the right place. And that's got to be hard on someone. I mean, you've heard Brian Johnson sing. I can't imagine what that must do to his voice. It's a unique voice, I think, for rock music.
It is.
Not much out there like it. What do you think? Good? Bad?
Ugly.
Well, maybe. Could anyone but AC/DC pull it off? And could AC/DC pull off what they do with any other vocalist?
Yes to the first one, no to the second.
I think I agree. It's also funny just to hear him talk and go into singing. I watched some videos of when 2008 Connor was out there, I found some videos of 2008 AC/DC and watched them live, a couple decades ago. And it was interesting to hear his voice aged a little bit from what it is on this album. He's still going, so he must have figured out how to do the voice without too much damage, but wow. Back in Black came out on July 25th, 1980, to pretty rave reviews. Critics dubbed it the apex of heavy metal art, which is, what an accomplishment. What an honor. It topped the charts in Australia, Canada, France, and the UK, and while it only reached number 4 in the United States, it did stay on the charts for 585 weeks, more than a decade. It even actually served to pull some of their previous albums back into the charts because it was so popular. And all of that caused AC/DC to become the first band since the Beatles, some 15 years earlier, to have 4 albums in the British Top 100 at once.
Dang.
I know, it's not a fact I would have expected to find. And not only is Back in Black the band's bestseller, the album is the 4th best-selling album of all time in America, and it's actually the very best-selling album that never topped the chart, which is a fun little trivia tidbit about this one. It's certified 25 times platinum in the United States, and worldwide it's moved more than 50 million units. It's the second bestseller ever worldwide, behind only Michael Jackson's Thriller, although it does trail Thriller by something like 20 million records. So it's not close, but it's also 5 million ahead of the next closest records, which are Whitney Houston's The Bodyguard, and the Connor-detested Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. This is pretty remarkable, considering that their previous album was only their first record to even break gold status in America. They really hit the ground running on Back in Black. In 2003, Rolling Stone named it the 73rd greatest album of all time and ranked AC/DC, or Akadaka, at number 72 on their list of the greatest artists.
Akadaka.
She's trading in her Chevy for a Cadillac. You ought to know by now.
For an Akadaka.
Oh, that's maybe the Spin It Award they should win. Billy Joel gets the Cadillac Award. Maybe they get the Cadillac Award.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I like it.
But that's the Back in Black circuit. How can you top the second best-selling album of all time, you may ask? How do you follow up what some would call the greatest heavy metal record ever made? Well, you just can't.
You just quit.
You can't. And they tried. They really did. For those about to rock, we salute you, and Flick of the Switch were okay, but they never quite hit the same. They never quite got the same public reception. They started trying to produce records by themselves without longtime engineer Mutt Lange. People started to call their music unmemorable, and they thought it was just getting repetitive or played out. In 1984, just 4 years after Back in Black, and while it was still very, very much on the charts in America, right, for like a decade, Kerrang! Ranked AC/DC the 8th biggest disappointment of the year.
Dang.
Which is unreal. I know. They fell off hard. And, you know, it led to some infighting and some lineup changes, and basically the mid and late 80s were not too kind to AC/DC. But the 1990s saw a little bit of a resurgence. Their record, The Razor's Edge, brought a couple new hits like Thunderstruck and Money Talks. Their huge 1992 world tour resulted in a live album and some notable festival appearances, and in the new millennium, they signed with Sony Music and embarked on a project that would actually remaster and re-release all their old works, kind of as collector's editions. In 2014, Malcolm Young retired from the band due to illness. His last live appearance with the band was actually in 2010. He passed away at age 64 in 2017 due to dementia. In 2016, Brian Johnson, too, had a couple issues. The band was forced to postpone tours because he ran the risk of actual, total deafness if he continued playing live. So for the rest of that tour, they replaced Brian Johnson with Axl Rose, lead singer for Guns N' Roses, which I think is probably as great of a replacement as you would find. In my head, their vocals kind of have some similar qualities. But the band is still active as ever. Their most recent record, Power Up, came out in late 2020, and it features Brian Johnson, Angus and Stevie Young, Cliff Williams, and Phil Rudd. They've dropped hints at a full-scale tour in the next year or so, but we'll see how that pans out. To date, they've put out 18 studio albums and 3 live albums. They've earned 19 major awards on 30 nominations, including 3 Billboard Music Award nominations in 2021, of all times, 7 APRA awards. APRA is the Australian Performing Rights Organization. They've won just a single Grammy on 7 Grammy nominations, and in 2013, Back in Black made it into the Grammy Hall of Fame. They've also earned an iHeartRadio Music Award, an MTV VMA, and 2 UK Music Video Awards, and they made it onto the ARIA, the Australian Recording Industry Association. They made it into their Hall of Fame in 1988, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2003, and more. They even have streets named after them in Spain and Melbourne. So that's AC/DC.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. And now it is time for, well, the mixtaper.
FOS.
FOS. Sure.
FOSO.
Foso, faux show.
What comes after the last O? Only true fans will ever find out.
Sure. Factor spin. The mixtaper is going to come. He's going to say something. I'm going to determine whether it's true or whether it's a lie.
Sometimes the answer is we don't know.
Sometimes, but it's rare. Everyone give a big, warm spin it welcome to the mixtaper.
Hey, it's me, the mixtaper.
Hello, mixtaper. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
You feeling ready to shoot to thrill?
I'm shooting the thrill this AC December.
Yeah. Mixtaper, I know we don't need to ask what you do for money, honey, because we all know you're here to pay off your student loans and you work at Starbucks part-time.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe tonight you can have a drink on me.
Are you finished?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just giving the dog a bone.
Oh, come on.
All right, shake a leg. Let's do some facts.
Well, because you wasted so much time with all that, I think we need to get through this first one pretty quickly, so I guess it's time for some fast-fired facts.
Wait, really? Whoa!
Yeah.
It's fast-fired facts is a rarity.
Not often we find somebody that I can make a fast-fired fact around.
No, it's true, but I bet there's a lot of AC/DC facts.
Heck yeah.
What's the theme this time? Is it like a rider? Is it a merch? Is it a something?
It is outfits Angus Young has worn.
Outfits. Oh boy.
Before settling on his schoolboy uniform, he tried many a different outfit.
I'm afraid.
And I have 9 supposedly true outfits for you.
Okay. How many do I need
The
to...
threshold, I don't know, 6.
We usually do 2/3.
So yeah, I guess you're allowed 3 misses, 3 strikes, and you're out sort of thing.
Okay, 3 strikes and I'm out of Angus Young's outfits.
Yeah. If you miss 3, you lose the point. 3 strikes and you're out.
Okay. Wow, we're starting with fast-fired facts. I wonder what the rest is going to be like.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of ready.
All right. Up first, remember, fast-fired facts. Rapid fire. Maybe one quick clarifying question if you need it.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't. Here we go. Rubber chicken.
What if I need 2 quick clarifying questions?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't this time. I just wanted to use my clarifying question this time when I didn't need it to clarify that I could ask more questions in the future if I needed to.
How dare you?
Rubber chicken, absolutely.
That's a spin.
Oh.
Strike 1.
Uh-oh.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man? What if these are all spins? Oh, no. It's true. Spider-Man's true.
That is a true fact.
Okay.
A scarecrow.
Also a fact.
Strike 2.
Really?
That's a spin. A gorilla suit.
Gorilla suits are pretty popular. Phil Collins didn't do it, but we said he did. I think this is true.
That is a true fact. The Tin Man.
Stop. You can't just name all the Wizard of Oz guys. Yes, the Tin Man.
Strike 3.
Wait, you just lied about both of the Wizard of Oz guys? You just lied about both of them?
Yeah.
I thought if one was a lie, the other would probably be true.
And that's why I did it, because I knew that'd be your logic.
That was so mean. Wow. I mean, so I got through, what, 5? Oh, man.
I'll give you one more. I'll give you a chance, because I originally said 6. So I'll give you one more. Give you a bonus. That was a foul ball.
Yeah, it was a foul ball. It was pretty... That pitch was in the dirt.
So as a reminder, so far we've done Rubber Chicken, spin, Spider-Man fact, Scarecrow spin, Gorilla fact, Tin Man spin.
Spin Man.
Up next, Superman.
Oh, all these superheroes. Yeah, I'll say yes to Superman.
Superman is a fact.
Okay.
A cactus.
Awesome. No, not a cactus.
That is a spin. Good
Yeah!
job. A Zorro mask.
Zorro, like the sword fighter guy?
Yeah.
Just the mask? Yeah, sure.
Well, and cape, but yeah. That is a true fact. Lion costume.
I hate you. I was just about to say I really bounced back in the second half, and here we are again with another Wizard of Oz guy. One of them's got to be true, right?
I don't know. That's for you to decide.
If it's wrong, if I say true and it's wrong, this is going to be the dumbest thing I could have possibly done. But I think it's true. There's a reason you went down the Tin Man and the Scarecrow rabbit holes, and I think it's because it really was a lion.
Strike 4. That's a spin.
Really? I'm furious. Why did she do this to me?
For that exact reason.
All 3.
So, and that was the last one.
That was the last one. I could have won. Oh, man.
You missed all 3 of the Wizard of Oz ones.
You're right. Those were 3 of my 4 strikes.
And then Rubber Chicken.
Yeah, and I don't know why you couldn't just call that a regular chicken.
Because it would have looked like a rubber chicken.
Well, but rubber chickens look like regular chickens.
Yeah,
Not quite, but yeah. Boy, that was horrible. I guess that's no point for me.
No point for you, 1 point for me. The mixtape yeah. Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I had to leave.
Okay. This is a quick break.
Yeah, quick break to go down to my bomb shelter.
What? You have a bomb shelter?
Yeah, because AC/DC's music was used in a nuclear attack.
Used in a nuclear attack?
That's what I'm telling you.
That's pretty wild. Like a nuclear attack in a movie?
No.
In real life, someone played AC/DC's music during a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
What nuclear attack? I mean, all the high-profile ones were in 1945.
Yeah. This is less of a nuclear attack in the sense of, like, attacking with nukes and more of an attack on a nuclear facility.
Oh, well, that's deliberately misleading and very different.
Yes.
What nuclear facility was being attacked?
An Iranian nuclear facility.
Okay, who's doing the attacking?
A hacking virus group.
A virus group hacked?
Yeah, like a hacking group that got a virus onto Iranian nuclear facility computers.
Yeah, and does the virus play AC/DC on their computers?
Oh, it sure does. It not only suspends all current actions that the computers were doing, like monitoring and regulating the nuclear facility, and causes it to blast out of all of their speakers, Thunderstruck.
That's a pretty baller hack attack choice. Wow. What's the consequence of this? Surely that, causes some international tension, right?
Yeah, it was probably a big deal.
Probably. What year was this? We didn't establish.
2009.
Oh, 2008 Connor was dead by then. 2008 Connor didn't live to see this.
2009 Connor was just getting started.
Apparently. Ooh, used in a nuclear attack. I think this is tricky, because saying it's a nuclear attack, why would you say that? Why would you come up with that?
Didn't it's a true fact.
I know. What a hack. Seems kind of plausible. This is a spin. I don't think this is true.
This is a spin.
Yeah, at least in real life. Maybe it is like some sort of movie thing. I don't think this happened in real life.
Oh, I took a movie and tried to say it was real.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
You're very astute? I don't know. Is that the word? That's not the word I want.
Astute means that I'm noticing. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, maybe that is the word I wanted for it. It kind of works in that context. But also it totally doesn't, because this is a true fact.
Wow, nuclear attack.
Yes.
I thought maybe that's what, your game was that you framed it in such a ludicrous way to get me to overlook that it was a spin.
Nope. This is a ludicrous true fact. This was during the 2009/10 cyber attack on Iran. Such a big event that it had its own Wikipedia page.
Yeah, apparently.
So I assume it was like a series of attacks. I didn't really go too deep down that rabbit hole. But yeah, a nuclear facility was hacked and given a virus.
They've been thunderstruck.
Which, again, baller move by the hackers. What a song to pick.
That's wild.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, I was still just thinking about Fast Fire Facts and how much fun that was.
Yeah, I know.
We don't get to play it very often.
I was reflecting on that too. We've played it a lot recently.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll give you a second shot. How about another round of Fast Fired Facts?
No, please. Really?
Yep.
What? Okay.
I've got more outfits. No, I'm kidding. No, this is a Fast Fired Facts for pre-show routines of Bon Scott. Bon Scott has several pre-show routines.
Okay.
Had, I guess.
That could be potentially a lot. What are the odds this time? What are we looking at?
I got 8 of them for you.
Okay. So I have to get one right to win.
3 strikes and you're out. 5. You gotta get 5 of the 8.
5 of 8 sounds fair.
That's 1 over 50%, basically.
That is not basically, actually.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This one you might want a couple clarifying questions. I'm glad you practiced on the outfits one.
Yeah, I think I might.
He would tape down the fringe of his hair with Scotch tape after a shower to keep it from curling too much.
Fringe. What part is the fringe?
It's like the part that would curl on like the end of your hair.
Okay. What kind of tape?
Scotch tape.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you said that. Because I thought Scott tape. It was a very funny joke in my head that I didn't say out loud. Now I said it out loud in a very unfunny context. I think that's true.
That is a true fact.
Not the kind of thing you'd make up, especially when you couldn't tell me what a fringe was very well.
He would gargle with red wine and honey to help retain the raspy edge to his voice.
Red wine and honey sounds like a wild combo. Gargling honey sounds like torture. Yikes. I think this is true.
That is a true fact. He would iron his pants on the backstage bar.
Whoa.
To give them a prominent crease.
He would do it himself. That's interesting.
Yes.
And what if the backstage didn't have a bar? The backstage always had a bar. The backstage always had a bar. I think this is also true.
That is a true fact.
Okay. I got all my spins out in the first round.
He would sing show tunes to warm up.
Good one. That one doesn't seem true. I'm going to say that one's a spin.
It is a true fact.
Oh, well, it's one strike.
He's a big fan of show tunes, actually, surprisingly.
That's cool. Well, the theatrics of the band, I guess it makes sense.
He would suck on pickled pig's feet.
Quit it. What kind of a thing is that?
They're very tasty, actually.
What's the purpose of sucking on a pickled pig's foot?
They taste good.
But he just do it for the taste?
Yeah, it's like a little pre-show snack.
Is that what you do? Do you suck on them? Are they to be eaten?
Yeah, you suck on them. Mm-hmm.
No. Yes. This is true.
No? Yes? This is true. This is strike 2, a spin.
I thought it was so ridiculous. There's no way you could have made it up.
It's twice you've thought that, and twice you've been wrong for different reasons.
That's true. But it's not true. That's the problem.
He would write thank you notes to the arena staff.
I choose to believe that that's true. That's a very nice thing to do.
Strike 3, that's a spin.
Oh, no. Well,
There goes your point.
that's my third strike. I was doing really good. That was a
were.
good start, though.
You did have a good start.
We have one left?
No, you got 2 left.
Okay. That makes me feel a little better. Didn't die at the finish line again.
Yeah. He would arm wrestle his bandmates.
Did they get into it too, or were they like, all right, let's get this over with?
Yeah, it was a way to build like adrenaline before they went out on stage.
Build adrenaline. Yeah, sure, true. Why not?
That's a spin. Strike 4.
That's why not.
And he would comb his arm hair.
That one's ridiculous. No way. Yeah, that's true.
And that's a spin. Strike 5.
The ridiculous ones. It's nice to know that I wouldn't have won either flipping way.
You got the 3 true ones I started with, and all the spins you missed.
I just thought they'd be a little better spread out. That's wild. They were so unbelievable, I had to believe them.
I thought those were all pretty good. Thought I did a good job coming up with those.
They were.
But that puts you in shutout territory, my friend.
Yeah, it does.
As we go into our final fact.
Man, it's weird that it's a shutout and I've got 8 questions right. Just for the record.
So I think I'll give you, third time's the charm. One more.
Stop.
No, I'm kidding.
That'd be really bad. I'm not on my Fast Fire Facts game today.
No, you're not. But are you on your Merry Christmas game?
Oh, it is the first day of December.
AC December.
AC December. What are the odds that you knew that? You don't ever know when the episodes come out.
I don't.
Anyway, what's the fact? What's the Christmas fact?
Bon Scott says Merry Christmas from the grave.
Okay, morbid. How do you mean?
With Christmas cards.
But he doesn't write thank you notes to everyone in the arena, but you expect me to believe he writes Christmas cards from the grave.
Yeah, this may or may not have been what inspired my thank you cards.
Yeah. So does he write them like, I say he is in like quotation marks. Do people still receive Bon Scott Christmas cards like today? Or was this like a year or two afterwards?
Today, they received them from the band, but in his memory. But he did send some out from the grave once.
Once. Shortly after his death?
Yeah.
That he made before he passed away?
Yeah, in 1979, Bon Scott posted, out his Christmas cards in the mail, something he did every year because he's a big fan of Christmas. Mm-hmm. But he didn't pay enough postage, and so the cards got delayed and arrived late and didn't get to people until the February-March time frame, and he passed away in February of 1980. So some people got their card from him after like the funeral and everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh. And if the band still does it today in his memory, that's nice.
Yeah, because he was such a big fan of Christmas, they send out Christmas cards to big supporters of the band and stuff in his memory.
What other big Christmassy things did he do? Was it just a bunch of Christmas cards?
I don't know. Maybe there was more. I did not go digging for that information.
Sure. And he underpaid on his postage. How many cards was he sending out?
I mean, probably a lot from like how the article read.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. Well, it's AC December. I'm going to choose to believe we're ending on a fact.
On a fact.
Yeah, I think that is what this is.
And I think that this week we have another shutout week. This is a spin.
Oh no, you spun me all night long.
I spin you all night long.
I had that joke queued up before you even told me the first fact, and it really kind of worked out that I didn't get anything right and got to use it at the end. But I really was hoping I wouldn't.
That was mostly a true fact. Everything I told you about the Christmas cards going out late after he died, that was true. Band does not send out Christmas cards in his name.
That's it?
Yeah.
But Bon Scott did say Merry Christmas from the grave. Oh, come on.
That's all we...
That's a mean one. You just did that.
I'm a mean one.
Like solely.
Mr. Mixtaper.
You did that solely so that you could get the shutout.
Not true. I even said Bon Scott says Merry Christmas from the grave. That implies he's still doing it, not that he said it one time.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right. Touche. You got a good point. Well, congratulations. This is your second shutout in 6 episodes.
I'm getting better at them.
Yeah.
Does this bring us back to 50-50 for the year because you kept greedily pulling ahead, or are you still ahead?
I don't know. When did the years start? That actually, believe it or not, puts you in the lead on the year.
Whoa!
There have been 82 questions. I have been correct on 40 of them, which means you got the other 42. However, that does not include the 3 presents from our Mixtober stream.
No.
Which I correctly guessed.
Did you?
Yes. Mixtaper, I'm not happy, but that's what I signed up for. So
I'm very happy.
yeah, congratulations on this week.
I'm not happy about having to go against Connor again next week. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, you never do well against him. He's my secret weapon.
Yeah, but I'm hoping I maybe have him figured out this time.
Yeah?
I think I might get him.
I think you might too. We'll have to see what he knows, but I'm excited to watch it all play out next week on Spin It Pod, the podcast where we spin it.
On the pod.
Yeah.
Till then. Yeah!
Oh, boy. Well, that was not my finest hour.
Yeah, you're really putting the pressure on me next week.
I really am. That's not my intent. I'm sorry.
You're all the time being like, oh, we need to play Fast Fire Facts more often. And then you go and blow 2 of them.
I don't think I say that all the time.
He was even nice and gave you a freebie, a foul ball in the first one.
He gave me a freebie because he wanted me to trip over the lion. I know it.
And you did. He played you like a fiddle.
Yeah. Let's talk about the album art on Back in Black. Actually, I have a surprising amount to say about it, given that it is the words Back in Black on a black background. First of all, what do you think?
It's the words Back in Black on a black background.
That's a pretty accurate thing to think. Very literal.
Big fan of the lightning bolt.
The lightning bolt is great. Yes. So their logo uses this high voltage lightning bolt to represent the typical slash that would go in between AC and DC. It's just brilliant. That font and the logo of the lightning bolt was designed in 1977 by Gerard Huerta, and it's appeared on pretty much every release since, excluding the international versions of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Otherwise, that's really the AC/DC logo through and through. But the album cover is black, all black. Not only is that meant to refer to the song, of course, but it was also a so-called sign of mourning for Bon Scott. Atlantic Records, their label, did not love it because who's going to buy a record with a cover like this? There's nothing to it. It doesn't jump off the shelf at you. But they agreed to let the band do it as long as they put a gray outline around their logo and didn't just leave it all black, which is what they initially had wanted to do. Definitely a hard album cover to make graphics for the Instagram post.
Yeah. Yeah, where do we put our logo in that?
Yeah, great question. Are you ready to talk about some noise pollution?
Nah.
Good idea, because this is rock and roll ain't noise pollution. We got a nice easy 10 tracks to talk about today. I love a good 10-track album. It feels tight. It feels like there's no wasted space, you know? And up first is the song that blew 2008 Connor's mind, Hell's Bells.
Trying to think back. All right, I'm in the headspace.
Okay.
Bong. Dad, check this out. Bong. I'm an idiot. Bong.
Check this out, I'm an idiot. Oh. Well, you did give a good song, though. At least it wasn't a bad song that you showed him. Imagine that. If you'd showed him, like, a bad 80s song. Like, Dad, check this out, and you come home with, like...
Is there any such thing?
I don't know. What if you came home, though, and it was like Karma Chameleon? That one you'd never live down.
I love that song.
I mean, it's grown on me a lot. What a way to start off a record, with a giant bell, giant bong.
I think it's great.
It's great, right? Their original plan for that sound was to use a bell called the Denison Bell, which is in a bell tower in England, but they realized that it disturbed the local pigeon population too much.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. It sent the pigeons racing. So, what they did instead is they actually made a Hell's Bell. It's made from a literal ton, 2,000 pounds of cast bronze, and they took it with them on their Back in Black tour. So there's a 1-ton Hell's Bell out there that they ring and that they recorded for this bit of the song. It was written to commemorate Bon Scott's death, little morbid, but they were kind of having writer's block for the song at first. They were sitting there in Nassau, in the Bahamas, going, man, I don't know what to do for the verses of this song. I don't know how to write it. But suddenly, a tropical storm whips up out of nowhere. Lights are flickering, winds whipping. Suddenly, Brian Johnson goes, I know what to do. And instantly he comes up with, I'm a rolling thunder, pouring rain, coming on like a hurricane. White lightning's flashing across the sky. Like, boom, full picture. He's got the verses right there.
It's a good song.
It's so good. I know. The speaker in this song is like some kind of vice, right? Some kind of evil thing that's tempting you, and it's jarring that it's so blunt, right? It doesn't sugarcoat itself at all. You're only young, but you're gonna die. I don't take prisoners. I'm gonna get you and take you to hell. Like, dark and morbid and like concerning.
Very dark.
But this thing still seems to know that its target can't resist, and the fate that it describes feels really inevitable.
The song was on Guitar Hero 3, fun fact.
Was it? I figured you'd know some AC/DC from Guitar Hero, if nothing else.
Wasn't there like a Guitar Hero AC/DC like game that was like mainly AC/DC songs, but with some other rock songs thrown in?
Oh, yes?
It was probably on that too.
That sounds familiar. For a minute, I thought you were going to say it was on Bell Hero, like your bell choir. Like I said, Hell's Bells on the bells.
Hey, we did say that would come back up in the song, so there we are. Obligation fulfilled.
It's true. We brought it back up. We're not to the test yet, though.
No. That's coming.
I'll tell you what. Right off the bat, I'll say it now. Most of these songs, boy, I could not care less about the verses, right? Like, the reason that you're here and the reason that I'm here, the reason that a lot of us are here are for the choruses.
Heck yeah.
And they do such a good job of making a chorus that's, iconic, memorable, sing-alongable for a stadium full of people. And it follows the instrumentals so perfectly, right? The instruments almost sing along with the chorus. It's impressive. It's especially noticeable on things like, what do you do for money? You shook me all night long. Like, you could hear the instruments moving in tandem with the vocal. And it's really cool.
It's true.
True indeed. But that's Hell's Bells. What do you think about Shoot to Thrill?
Shoot the thrill.
A lot higher energy. A lot faster than Hell's Bells.
Indeed.
This is a song with some undertones. No, he's not really talking about a gun.
What's he talking about?
He's talking about, ask your dad, but he's talking about getting with women for the thrill of it, you
Whoa.
know?
Heck yeah.
It's fine. It's a fine song lyrically. It's a little light. Honestly, they don't even push the gun metaphor too far. They say pulling the trigger and they say he's shooting. Really kind of a weak gun metaphor, if you're asking me. But, man, the song sings great. The energy is unmatched. Am I missing something? Is there some other layer to the gun metaphor that's not just substituting out a few words?
Hardcore fans seem to think so.
Yeah, I have that problem a lot with this album. We'll hit it in a few more places where a metaphor just feels like it's there to be there, like they don't ever explore it.
They didn't want to actually write a song about shooting someone.
No, they didn't want to get in trouble for writing a sex song.
Yeah.
So they wrote a gun song where they just swapped the word sex for gun.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit ridiculous. And it happens other times on this album. I just feel like you gotta commit. There's so many cool things you could do with that metaphor that they just kind of leave on the table.
Yeah. Like one in the chamber.
Sure. Anything. Like, instead they say, keep coming and put your hand out to me because I'm the one who's gonna make you burn. Like a gun? Like, okay. Anyway, I don't mean to dog on Shoot to Thrill, because again, a fun chorus. What a blast. It's just a little wild. But those two songs, that first two, we start off with some of the most popular tracks on the album. As far as, our beloved Spotify plays metrics go, What Do You Do for Money, Honey starts a pretty steep drop-off for a bit in the middle of this album.
Yeah, but it's still got a really good chorus.
It does. Is it a deserved drop-off was going to be my question.
Honey, what do you do for money?
I know, right?
And I like that the title is flipped.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I don't like that the title is flipped.
Oh, really? Oh, I like it.
I would just leave off the honey in the title. You don't need it.
Nah, I think What Do You Do for Money, Honey is a good title. I like the money, honey at the end of it.
Yeah, it's passable. I'll allow it. It's, the speaker's talking to a woman who seemingly lives beyond all her means. She's got a lot of money and it doesn't make sense. She's working in a bar, but she's got a great apartment. She rides in cars. Ooh. So he thinks she must be getting something. Either she's a gold digger or she has some less public sources of income. But I think the real interesting part about what do you do for money, honey, is that's the question we're left to fill in the blanks and answer is why do you think this guy's asking? What's his motivation? Think he's just curious? Do you think he's offering money? Do you think he's trying to feel out the situation? Think he's criticizing? There's so many options.
So many.
So many reasons you could ask somebody what they do for money, honey. What do you do for honey money?
Oh.
How do you afford all that honey you buy?
I sell it.
You flip honey. What you do for honey money is sell honey.
It's actually kind of the other way around. I sell honey to the stores, and then I go buy it back.
At a markup?
Yeah, I'm hemorrhaging money.
It's a bad business model. I'm hemorrhaging honey. What do you do for money is a good thing to ask a person who runs an apiary, because then they could say, honey.
Oh.
What do you do for money? Honey.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a call and response.
Maybe this is about a beekeeper.
What do you do for money? Honey. And then they didn't hear him, so they repeat it. What do you do for money?
Where do you get your kicks? Yeah. Up next, the downward spiral continues with Givin the Dog a Bone.
Okay, how many of these songs are going to be sex disguise songs?
So many. I'm so sorry.
We've got Shoot the Thrill. We've got What Do You Do for Money, Honey? That feels like a proposition.
It feels like a proposition, yeah. Givin the Dog a Bone, certainly another metaphor.
And we'll get there, but it's followed up with Let Me Put My Love Into You. It's oh.
Yeah, I know. Givin the Dog a Bone.
Giving the dog a bone.
It's not hard to unravel. There is no dog, okay? There is no dog.
Oh, he's a dog.
And here's my real problem with this song, okay? Here's my real problem with Givin the Dog a Bone. I was going through it. They go back to the gun metaphor till my ammunition is dry. Come on, put that in Shoot to Thrill where it belongs. Do one metaphor at a time. If we're rolling with the dog metaphor, there's no ammunition in a bone, okay? Chill.
The only way they know how to talk about sex is through guns.
Is through other objects, but other objects that not in the way the other object is used. They just straight up cut and paste other things.
Yeah. I just realized, are they calling the woman a
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I see what's happening here.
Yeah, it's wild. And they can't keep a metaphor straight. I mean, we get into verse 2. It's also just a wild one. It's got nothing to do with dogs. She's no Mona Lisa. Is Mona Lisa some sort of sex symbol? Is that what he's getting at? I've never got that impression.
I know somebody else who's no Mona Lisa. She's untamable and unframeable.
Ingrid Andress. You're taking that way back.
Yeah.
That's episode 27? That's 98 episodes ago.
Yeah, that one's on the playlist, so I hear it a lot. So that one I remember.
We've talked about Mona Lisa in the past.
Yeah.
She was not some sort of sex symbol in that song, and she's not some sort of sex symbol in this song. She is no Playboy star. Literally, Brian Johnson. I also just the line, she'll send you to heaven and then explode you to Mars, is another line that just sends me. Because giving the dog a bone, she'll explode you to Mars. Give up, man. Just lyrically, this album is a mess of mixed metaphors.
It's a bit of a mess.
It is, but the song itself is so catchy.
It's metaphor soup.
Metaphor soup. Yeah, that's true. But you just got to chant all the choruses and they rock so hard. It feels wrong to find fault with this album, but some of these are certified buffoonery.
Yeah. Although I do like the metaphor soup idea when we get to the next song. Well, just the idea of trying to put his love into the Mona Lisa. Now I'm just imagining.
Oh, no, you're putting all the metaphors together.
Yeah, it's metaphor soup.
Let me put my love into the gun.
I'm gonna shoot you with my love.
Right, it's silly.
And that could go right into shot through the heart. I shot you through the heart with my love.
Oh, that's a whole different band.
Yeah.
Let me put my love into you. Can this even be called double entendre?
Sure.
It's kind of just out there. It's not really very camouflaged at all.
It's so double entendre that it's just tundra again.
It's just an entendre.
No, it's just tundra.
Ready for another stupid metaphor?
Yep.
Just in this context, let me cut your cake with my knife.
Heck yeah.
How does that have anything to do with the song? It's not a stupid metaphor in general, but in relation to the theme of let me put my love into you, it's bad. It's bad.
He's gonna lick that icing. He's gonna mash that cake all over his face.
And look, I didn't even notice this, and the gun metaphor is back again. All those reputations blown to pieces with my artillery.
It's back in black.
It is back in black. Yeah. Let me put my gun into love.
Let me shoot your cake.
Let me shoot your cake. Shoot your cake with a bone.
In front of the Mona Lisa.
Really, though. It might as well say that. Ridiculous. I wonder if it was like a bit of a spoiler for you that their choruses are so long and repetitive sometimes. Like, that's one of their ingredients in the AC/DC cookbook, is a silly metaphor and a long, chanty, repetitive chorus.
Heck yeah.
Is that good? Is that a good heck yeah?
Oh, just a heck yeah to the, like, we're figuring out the recipe.
Oh, heck yeah to figuring out the rest. That's true.
But no, it was not a heck yeah to the repetitive chorus. But it's very catchy. You have to kind of forgive it.
Yes, I know. That's it. The melodies, the rock of this album covers a multitude of sins. Maybe not a multitude. Maybe that's putting it a little harshly, but
It's a multitude.
yeah, that's true. But a song with which I can find no fault is Back in Black. I think nothing about Back in Black is bad. Really. Got a title track, track 6.
Title track!
And it's another track commemorating Bon Scott, but they didn't want it to be morbid and sad and a bummer like Hell's Bells. They wanted this one to be a celebration. So Back in Black is what they came up with. The leading theory, though there seems to have been some discussion about this, but the leading theory is that it's written from Bon Scott's perspective. He's back from the dead, saying Merry Christmas, and he's here to party. And it makes sense if you think about it. I hit the sack, I died. It's been too long, I'm glad to be back. He's resurrected. Let loose from the noose, got 9 lives, like he's come back. That makes sense to me. But we got to talk about that opening riff, right? Holy crap. One of the most iconic and instantly recognizable riffs in rock music, really.
It's good. It's a good opening riff.
The opening riff is the brainchild of Malcolm Young, who was worried it might be too funky. Turns out it's not. Also, fun fact, too, apparently, it was the first thing Nirvana's Kurt Cobain learned to play on the guitar.
Oh, wow.
The other thing about Back in Black is a song that never fails to increase my speed while I'm driving. Whatever my starting speed was, it's a little higher by the time we're halfway through Back in Black. I think it's a deserved title track.
I think it is.
I think it's definitely the best combination of like energy and everything on this album. Lyrically and musically, Back in Black just does it all right. And then we get another big hit with You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yeah.
This was actually the first song Brian Johnson wrote as the new lead singer.
Nice.
Yeah, he said that the boys had a title. Malcolm and Angus said, we've got this song, it's called Shook Me All Night Long. And if you listen to the chords just fell into place. So I can't claim any credit on that. It was just the thing that came at the time, and I still think it's one of the greatest rock and roll riffs I've ever heard in my life. So high praise from Brian Johnson. And it certainly was a big hit. Made it to number 35 on the Hot 100 in the US, and it also ended up at number 10 on VH1's list of the greatest songs of the 80s. This is the first song, I think, that actually kind of holds pretty closely to its metaphors a little bit. I mean, she kept her motor clean. Like, I can get that because the motor, an engine revs. It's got a certain rumble to it, like an earthquake, like shaking walls.
She's working double time on the seduction line. They're really just not hiding it anymore.
No. They do push the metaphor thing. Metaphor Soup comes back in verse 2. Just another course made a meal out of me and came back for more. But you know what? Whatever. We all know what this one's about.
But apparently you had to cool them down to take another round. So the leftovers were hotter than the original somehow.
Hey, you're right. It's interesting. And now he's back in the ring. Here's the thing. I think with the other songs, my problem is that they set out like they're trying to do a metaphor.
And then they just can't keep it.
And then they fail.
But this one, they're just like, yeah, let's just make it's one of those songs where like every line is like a different metaphor. And that's acceptable.
You shook me all night long. Yeah, we know what it's about. We know what to expect going in. And so the metaphor soup doesn't taste as bad.
It was so hot I had to cool it down to move on to have a drink on me.
Yeah. I do think You Shook Me All Night Long is a lot funnier if you think of it literally.
Yeah, same. I was thinking that too. I was literally just sitting here thinking about somebody grabbing somebody and just shaking them.
Just by the shoulders.
Like while they're asleep.
Just jostling him all night.
They're like trying to sleep.
Please, the walls, the earth. My mind is aching. I just want to go to bed. I'm just getting shook.
I'm shook.
But yeah, Have a Drink on Me is up next.
I like the opening riff to this one too.
I know, it's so good. It's so fun. It's a song about drinking. No metaphor here either. Seems like they're all just raising a glass in a bar somewhere, having an absolutely wild time. And I think one of the hidden gem lyrics on this album is from this song. Forget about the check, we'll get hell to pay. Is incredible. Like, mind-blowingly incredible compared to so much other stuff here.
Dang.
Have a Drink on Me is another one where the melody follows that chorus. Spot on. If you hear them play Have a Drink on Me, you sing along with it in your head. Shake a Leg is up next. And, I know it's not, but it might as well be a literal song about a problem child who's kicking everything. He's just a juvenile on the street kicking everything with his feet. What if it was? What if it was just about a rogue kicker?
Why would it be a road kicker?
Well, because of the second line in the first verse. He's kicking everything with his feet. He's an idle juvenile who's got nothing better to do than to kick everything.
Fair enough.
That's what I want the song to be.
This song annoys me a little bit.
Really? Why?
Well, just it's in the first 2 lines, how it goes on the street with his feet. It was like unnecessary.
You don't like it? It kind of, to read the lyrics reminds me of the Go-Go's. We got the beat.
We got the.
But yeah, we got the beat. Yeah, shake a leg. I don't know. Shake a leg's fun in the chorus. The rest of the places, it's...
Is the gun metaphor back on this one? How do you interpret the word magazine in Magazine's Wet Dreams?
Definitely not in the gun way. Really, this song is about trying to spur this idle juvenile, this little daggy boy, to engage in a little hoonery, to shake a leg, to get wild, to turn it up and go off the rails. One line that I love, but also that makes me laugh a lot, because it just feels silly. They tell me what they think, but they stink, and I really don't care. Like, it's just funny that this heavy metal rock band that's singing very thinly veiled songs about sex, drugs, rock and roll decides to put in this line, all these people stink. Like, it doesn't live up to the image that they've built.
This one kind of didn't do it for me.
No, I don't blame you. We're getting to the end of the album. We've been through, I think, the best of what Back in Black has to offer.
I just looked. It didn't do it for a lot of people. It's the least played song.
Yeah. Those beloved Spotify plays.
So beloved.
But up last, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution closes out the album. Honestly, a perfect closer track out of these 10.
Oh, that's why you said noise pollution earlier.
Yes.
I missed that one.
I don't know how.
I don't know how either.
But it did seem like you didn't get the joke at the time.
Yeah.
I thought you were kind of playing into it when you said no, but it turns out you just didn't understand and were trying to go along with a bit you didn't get.
I said no because I didn't get it. I say no to things you don't understand.
That's what I tried to do. In fact, or spin, I said spin and didn't work out.
Spin isn't no. You should have said no.
Do you think he'd let that happen?
Only one way to find out.
I guess. But yeah, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, believe it or not, this was actually the highest charting song from the album in the UK. It reached number 15, and it seems unreal to me that this could be the highest charting song from the album anywhere. One of the oldest, I think most tired complaints about rock and roll is how loud it is, right? It feels like no matter what, people have been saying rock and roll is so loud from the beginning of rock and roll.
Just turn it down.
But it ain't noise pollution. Yeah, why you gotta play it so loud? Crank it down.
Pipe down, rock and roll.
Pipe down, honestly. But rock and roll ain't noise pollution. You gotta play it loud, play it proud. I love the intro to Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Not so much the dialogue, but the guitar part. Actually, Johnson did allegedly improvise that opening monologue on the spot, so that's cool. But there you have it. That's Back in Black, the album and the song. Before we get into Final Spin, I need to know from you, what's the best metaphor on this album? We've got the gun, we've got the dog a bone, we've got cutting the cake with the knife, we've got keeping the motor clean, we've got...
I think the best metaphor...
It's the friends we made along the way.
It's just all the sex stuff that they didn't even bother to cover up.
Oh, you think it was no metaphor at all?
Because all the actual metaphors sucked.
They were pretty bad. And they might have been better off just to not even bother, I think. Just to not even try with those. But let's get into Final Spin then. Give some scores. Musically, 86. Sing-alongable. Tons of fun. Great choruses. Verses kind of fall a little bit shorter. But whatever. You know, you're here for the chorus. Like I said, that's why we all came. Lyrics, 78. There's just too much metaphor soup. The mixed metaphors never do it for me. And in this case, I don't even think they mix them, like, well. They're not even thoroughly fleshed out when they start trying to mix them.
No, there's still, like, some solids in there that didn't get mixed in.
Yeah, it's lumpy.
It's a lumpy album.
Right, but there are some gems of lyrics, like There'll Be Hell to Pay, Give Us the Tab on Have a Drink on Me, or mostly the entirety of Back in Black and Hell's Bells. Some really intriguing, really good stuff. So I'm giving lyrics a 78. Instruments and production, 83. Samey, a little bit. To listen to this whole album in one sitting, they have one guitar tone. There's an AC/DC guitar tone, right?
Yeah.
And that's all you hear. There's little variation in the instruments. They're good, and it sounds clean and crisp. It's produced pretty well, but there's a noticeable lack of variation. And the overall vibe, This is a hard rocking album. Maybe one of the most rocking albums we've talked about on the podcast in 125 episodes. Which, by the way, wow, 125. We're like a quarter of the way to our next 100, which is weird to think about.
That is weird.
The overall vibe gets an 84 from me, and that puts the overall score for the album at an 83.9, which feels surprisingly low in my mind, but honestly, like if I don't think about what I would score this album, I like it a lot better. When I do look at this album critically and kind of hold a magnifying glass up to it even a little bit, it kind of starts to slightly fall apart. Its overall placement on the list is at number 341, tied with and slightly below Janis Joplin and Cheap Thrills, and 1/10 of a point below Toto 4, Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication, and Twisted Sister's Stay Hungry, in that order. And it's just above Murmur by REM, which is funny because I remember liking that album a good deal less than I like Back in Black. But hey, they're still close together. That's gonna do it for my scores. What are you thinking? Is this album that you own physically and have known all your life since 2008 at least gonna be a good scorer?
2008 Connor set me down a path.
Yeah, well, let's see if 2023 Connor can continue to walk it.
Where the path leads, only my score will tell. I like this album.
That's good.
A lot of catchy songs.
Would you own it if you didn't like it?
I'm going to say I was surprised by the score I gave this one.
Surprised how? Good way, bad way? Guess we'll find out.
Giving this one 6 heck yeahs out of 10.
Whoa. Oh, wow. That is a surprising score. I really did not expect you to say a 6 right there.
Yeah.
What brought that on?
I went into this thinking it would be a 9. I mean, I own it.
Yeah, you own it. I am a little...
Maybe I should change my unit to 6 Ionits. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, so you flipped your 9 upside down.
Yeah, this 9, turn that 9 upside down to 6 Ionits. Why? I just don't like it as much as I remember liking it.
Whoa.
For a lot of the reasons we talked about. Lyrically, it's a mess. It has catchy choruses and some good opening guitar riffs. That's about it.
It is.
It doesn't have the staying power. These songs don't have, like, the staying power.
They do in the chorus.
I don't even know if they do there. I feel like...
Really?
I had not thought about this album since 2008 Connor bought it. I feel like. I don't know. Like, AC/DC in general as a band is just a band I don't find myself thinking about or getting stuck in my head randomly. Or like
Whoa.
Journey, I brought Journey. I'll find myself just singing Journey songs all the time. Or Bon Jovi. Or even Aerosmith. I'll find myself either in the mood to listen to one of their songs specifically, or like we'll just get it randomly in my head. Just pop up there. That doesn't happen with AC/DC, surprisingly.
That's an interesting point because I think that's kind of the same for me. It's obviously been not the case lately because I've been listening to and prepping for this episode.
Yeah.
But normally, I don't know how long I go between AC/DC listens. When I want it, it scratches the itch.
Yeah, and like when it's on, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not immediately in front of me,
out of sight, out of mind.
It's never the song I'm gonna order off the menu at the music restaurant.
Okay. All right, sure.
Could I have just said not the song I would pick on the jukebox to make it a metaphor that made sense? Sure could have. Chose to make it a music restaurant.
Yeah, but that's metaphors that make sense don't belong in this episode.
Fair enough. So yeah, this one gets 6 Ionits going right above Rascal Flatts.
Wow. That's weird.
It is weird.
And that's interesting too because Rascal Flatts is another band you knew and thought you would really like.
And then didn't.
And then ended up right next to this, Akadaka and Raka Flacka, all in the same
Akadaka and Raka Flacka. What? I'd like to change my units to Raka Flacka split.
No, you can't. Too many changes. Score of 6. At least it's a high 6, I guess.
Yeah.
It's still interesting to me, though, to know your musical tastes and to have the band last week get 7 and, like, this gets 6 with Rush, which I feel like you liked a lot less than this.
It's weird.
It's interesting.
As for my top 3.
You get more than a third of the album this time.
Yeah. In metaphor order.
What's that mean?
I don't know. In album order. Hell's Bells. Because you gotta. Honorable mention going to Shoot to Thrill. Because you gotta.
Respectable.
Back in Black. Because you gotta.
Pretty big skip.
And You Shook Me All Night Long. Just for fun.
What a basic top 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's a basic album.
I mean, if you asked people on the street to name AC/DC songs, they would name like 3 of these.
Yeah.
Wow, not going for deep cuts at all.
Deep cuts weren't any good.
No love to the rest of this album.
And I think the Spotify plays reflect that. There's a reason that there's a giant drop off in plays in all the songs I didn't name.
It's true. Back in Black is in the billions, and Shake a Leg doesn't even have 20 million.
That's why Back in Black is my playlist pick.
Okay, and another straight playlist pick from you, which means I just get to do my thing. But of course, Back in Black was going to make it on the playlist either way.
Yeah. So do you do the classic spin it thing and pick the one right next to mine with You Shook Me All Night Long?
Ooh, if I don't, I'm probably picking Shoot to Thrill.
That's where I saw you going. Those were my guesses.
I think I'm going to take Shoot to Thrill.
Shoot to Thrill.
Not that it's a deep cut, but it's a slightly deeper cut than You Shook Me All Night Long.
Just so that we have some, gun metaphor representation on the playlist.
That's right. Got to get some of that soup. A little helping of soup for everyone. Pull the trigger, shoot. Now it's a song about guns. No one will ever know. No one will ever know what we're really singing.
Look at my cleverly disguised sex song.
Really? Serve it up on a silver platter. Are you going to continue owning the album? You own a 6. Is it even worth your shelf space?
Now I'm going to break it right now.
Just smash it. Snap it in half symbolically to, symbolize your disgust.
Oh, there you go.
But that's going to do it for this episode of Spin It. We were back in black. If you're interested in more Spin It content or in seeing how the heck we fit the Back in Black cover and hit our logo in it, you could check out our socials. Instagram at SpinItPod official, Twitter at SpinItPod, and of course on the web at www.spinitpod.com. Stay tuned next week for more AC December, where we don't talk about AC/DC again, but we talk about another album that's not even related.
We're moving out of AC December into
next week.
into next week. Into Consimber.
Oh, that's right. Next week is your pick.
It's my pick.
Stay tuned to see what album Connor chooses to bring to the podcast next. I'm excited.
Deconber? Is that better?
No, it's maybe worse.
It's probably worse. I think it's worse.
It'll be your first pick since Journey.
Mixing up the genre. I keep trying to genre hop to give you a nice taste of what I like in each of the genres, to kind of give you clues as to what you should be bringing on this podcast when you want good scores out of me.
I don't care about the score out of you. I mean, I do, but I don't care what it is. I just like hearing them.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that next week. It'll be a blast. The mixtaper's going to play against Connor.
We're going to heal a little next week.
I think so, really. We'll heal for Daddy Gene. Be sure to like, rate 5 stars, and say hi. And tell a friend who actively hates sewing machines about the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. If you know a sewing machine hater, tell them.
Make sure they know us.
Yeah. We're not a sewing machine. They won't hate us. And until next time, keep spinning. All right.
We got to give them a test.
You're here. Outro test time. First, what was Connor a part of in his younger days?
Should I say the answers?
No, I think the audience should just have to guess the answers.
Oh, they should tell us in the comments or on social what the answers were.
Yeah.
So that was question 1. What's question 2?
Question 2. What is the difference between an alternating and a direct current?
Question 3. In a 1-year time span, how often is Connor haunted by the memory of his Hell's Bells story?
Oh, that's a hard test. This is really tough. And the last question, what's the other AC/DC album that Connor physically owns, aside from Back in Black? Tough.
Oh,
You gotta listen to the episode again for the answers.
fair enough.
Congratulations, you passed. Or you didn't. You gotta find out for yourself. Honor system.
I'll be honest, most people are probably going to miss question 1. The answer's not what you might be thinking.
Isn't it? No?
It's not Bell Choir. It's Bell, whatever I said.
Whatever you said. Sure.